Hello, Divine Sunshiners. I pulled some cards today about the energies that I am feeling.
Where we are. The Divine Masculine is having growing pains about really truly having to grow up spiritually and mature. These are the tests that you've already had before. These are the tests that you kind of maybe failed before. These are the tests that saying, hey, this is the moment you've been prepared for. Now let me see how you're going to be able to handle it now. Clear. YouTube channel. All right, see you in a few. Benefits. So the story is still from your ancestors. It's still stored in your body.
Stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, Namago. So, hello, and welcome to the Healing Place reading. This is a new part series that I'm introducing on this channel, concentrating on healing. For me right now, I'm being pushed to present something in which helps us start healing, because once we start healing, the process of new beginnings can begin. So I'm using a new deck of cards that I have purchased that is really something I think is going to help and guide us. You might even find yourself using a journal to answer some of these questions. And in between, I use also my regular inspirational cards too as well for readings. So let's begin. So the first thing is, in order for us to start the healing, we need to look at first, which is, how does my body feel right now? What is it telling me? So right now I have sinus issues, and it's been a lot of issues with sneezing. As I looked that up in my book, because I am an MAT specialist, if you're interested in getting rid of things that are happening, occurring in certain body parts or pains, most of the time that is a signal to you that there's actually something going on with your body that is telling you about something's going on with you personally. Anything that you have with sinuses means there's an agitation or irritation with people, circumstances, or things. And so with me having this and also having voice issues, there's something that I'm not voicing. So if you are having those type of issues, again, for me, and I put that on my podcast, that our body is not our enemy. Society would like us to say that, especially saying about, when you get older, it don't work this way, it don't work that way. But it is signaling to you, is your body, if you take that less of an enemy of the state and more of it's working with me and it's signaling to me, and tell my body, okay, I get it. Thank you. I'm going to go on and work with it. And if you don't work with it, your body's going to tell you, no, I'm still going to stay here because you're not quite over whatever. You have not handled the situation. As Scandal says, it's not handled. So what you want to do is to sit, see what's going on with your body, Google search it and see if there's specifically a spiritual meaning behind that very thing as to why it is showing up. Another thing here that they want us to deal with again in healing is, if I were to die right now, who would be the first 3 people I'd like to meet in an afterlife, and why? Interesting. So when we're talking about that, I think of, when I look at that, as far as to me would be dreams, things that have not been accomplished, and that, again, who would meet you on the other side to say, hey, you didn't do this, 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 and this. Another way of looking at, I got a fork in the road, is to look at the card the way it actually is. Right now we're at a time where we're looking for our ancestors, and the veil was very thin, especially coming into November, where our ancestors are really helping us and guiding us to help us to know. Maybe there are 3 people that could be able to help you in other dimensions, because you got to remember these cards are 3D kind of thought process. So I'm going to take it to the next level. So who are 3 people in the 5th dimension that you feel that can really, you need to reach out and touch and get in contact with to help you with your journey where you are right now? Okay, they're going to help you. These three people on the other side that have passed are going to help you with your healing process at this time. Okay, next thing, what is the one lesson or value that I want to pass on to my grandchildren? So from this, you're thinking about ancestry, and this is going back to the theme about our ancestry line. What is it that you want to learn? So I would also say, even to your former self, I stated that on my next podcast, I think that's going to be released next week, about if you could write a letter to your former self. This, to me, is saying uh, anybody, predecessors or antecessors, anybody that's coming afterwards, what lessons are you learning that's going to help future generations? Us as light workers have been instructed that a lot of times we're not just here for ourselves and creating a mission to help the world to be better, but we're also here to help future generations, not even in our own family, but then also the ones that are coming up. So you need to, they're saying, take an introspective look at your life right now and see how are you learning the lessons. How is it helping you to grow? How is it spiritually helping you to go to the next level in life as self? This is going to help you to be able to go what you need to do as far as several things, to look at your life in a more perspective of a positivity that, oh my God, I really have accomplished these things. I forgot about these things. I'm really more greater than what I think. Or it could make you look and say, okay, all right then, you know what? That's a sign of some growth. Some opportunities have been presented here, and I can work on those lessons a little better. Okay? Your next thing is right there when we talk about healing the self, rush. There's something within you, you are rushing the process. This process, in order with anything, like they say, anything that is great, it takes time. So you need to take time in the process to really, truly let everything marinate, let yourself really, truly resonate, let yourself really align with the things that are happening and occurring in your life in order to heal. Remember, this is the healing process. Healing really cannot be rushed. Now, if you're looking for a cure is something that's like right there, instantaneously. It happens right there within a nanosecond, and then that would be it. However, when we're talking about healing, healing takes a process. That's just if you break your leg, whatever. You have to take time to let it reset, coming with the bones and the tissues coming back together again. And then after months of therapy, and you're doing things again to help you to learn how to walk again, then in time, and even then some people say that when that happens, it's not the same. You still have to take time to kind of readjust. So as we go through the process of healing, understanding there's no rush to this for you to, because remember, the trauma has happened. These things don't just happen over a day. The way you have came to be through life has again caused you to you've got to take your time in doing this, because again, these things that happen to you traumatically have built layers, foundations, ideologies, experiences, philosophies within you that can't really just be torn down in a day. And bad habits are something, in order for you to heal for those things, it's going to take some time. All right, so let's look at this next thing, which is, I pulled the cards here, and Spirit says in order for you to really be able to deal with those things that they want you to concentrate in healing yourself is, again, have a newfound appreciation. Really take focus and look and take a new perspective as to how you are actually seeing these things in your life, okay? Because it's interesting that the flower is blooming in all different various colors of the rainbow. And in order for you to have union with yourself and for things union to blossom within yourself, it, again, just like it says, process of growing things take time, okay? So have an appreciation for the process when we talk about self-healing, all right? let's go on to the next thing. Ooh, drop the card. There you go. I feel it. All right. So now let's go about healing about the connection. Okay. The next thing is healing about the connection. What are your viewpoints about the connection in general? Connection of your energies between your divine feminine and divine masculine energies within. So we're going to take a look at how we are balancing the connection within ourselves now. Okay. That was just self in general. So now let's take a look, see at that for the collective. Gotcha. And this appeals to me too. Okay. That card keeps on falling on the floor. They really want you to be able to have divine truth about this card, about appreciation. I'm going to leave it over here. Okay? All right, then. So now let's look at the connection with ourselves to be able to have union, that wholeness, that great balance within ourselves. First thing it tells us that it wants us, in order to start the healing process, is asking us the question, what do you think is the source of my joy? This is a good, nice journal topic, or for you to pause and kind of look and see what is really the source of my joy. That did funny thing about that. I talked about that in my podcast too, as well as saying again that happiness is your job. It's not anybody else's job, a thing, a person, or place to create for you. I think society pushes that out there. You know, when I get with my person, I'll be happy, or when I get this job, everything is going to come together. You know, you got to create happiness, the corner of happiness and wealth right where you are. The location of is where you are. So you need to ask yourself, they're saying, what is your joy? Again, that's the appreciation card that they really are stressing about. They want you to really truly see what's your focus. I think because a lot of times, depending on how far you've been on the journey, it might seem like, again, you know, am I ever going to get there? You're looking at other things and seeing that the person is not actually there, or these missions and things and all these energies coming along, and it keeps on knocking you off your square, which causes you to be able to start looking at the woe is me or become negative Nelly very quickly. That causes conflict, like you hear with the kids. Hey. And so that is where we need to turn ourselves to raise the vibration, to start looking at what is the source of our joy. And whatever that source of our joy is, like the card tells us, start focusing in on that. Take that fine tune and say, just like a horse have blinders, and fine tune and look directly at that. And keep focusing on, even it's a little bit like, I'm happy I went to, well, I can't say McDonald's because they having issues now with the CEO. But even if it is that sitting down and having that cup of tea in the morning and just sitting there and looking at the sunrise, take that. If that's the only good thing that happens to you, a bright spot for that day, then you go on ahead and take that remembrance of that feeling throughout the day. Okay? If you got a phone call for somebody you ain't heard in a long time, y'all laugh, y'all talk, take that energy and hold on to it and take that throughout the day. This is what they're saying for that, for when you talk about the connection between the divine feminine and divine masculine energies. Because again, the divine feminine energies is your state of being, what makes you happy and joyful there. And then also in the divine masculine energies, looking outside for that phone call from that friend. That's the outside. That's again material things, how it's showing up in your world, how that could also make you happy, and blending the two. I find my happiness because just connecting with people, that's a state of being. That's your divine feminine energies. Having the talking and the laughing and giggling and reminiscing with your person, that taps into the divine masculine energies because it helps you to stand into your power. So that's how you bring that connection together. When we're talking about the next thing, describe a turning point in our relationship. Why was it important to you? So spirit is asking within you the divine feminine, divine masculine energies within, or you can talk about divine feminine, divine masculine energies without. What is the turning point? What was the turning point as far as what made you become stronger? What I'm hearing to say, what didn't kill you made you stronger. What was the turning point? That it was a conflict, but it helped you to rise or maybe start to look at yourself a little differently. So again, think about it. Where was it that it created as far as this connection and saying, hey, you know what? My divine masculine energies isn't as strong as I would like it to be. You know, I'm not really standing in my power or having my voice when I'm speaking to family members. And I'm seeing that incident when I was a child is now resonating and filtering into how I show up at the job. Okay, you know, that time when I spoke up and, you know, people were in shock that I spoke up, like, oh my God, is that you? You know, that was a turning point that said, oh my God, people do truly listen. So, you know, look and see about that. They helped me to stand in my divine feminine power, but it also helped me to strengthen up my divine masculine power to say I can stand in my authority. So look at those things and see what are some turning points that happened to you. And then seeing that helps to define you, but also helps you to understand the lessons and how truly great you are. Or there's some points of opportunities that are presented there. Okay, next thing, when we talk about the connection within your spirit of the divine feminine and divine masculine energies within, if you had to choose one shared memory to define our relationship, what would it be and why? So, what relationship or what defined moment or memory happened to really help you to define you? You could say go back and look at in your childhood. You know, then again, if I go back and use an analogy that I used about my voice, time I used my voice, my mom said X, Y, and Z to me, which made me say, well, maybe I shouldn't use my voice because I lose friendships because of that. That's just an example. And so with that, we have to understand that defined me. Okay? And so that is how I used to go further of all other relationships, that when I'm talking to the DM, or if I'm talking on the job, or if I'm talking to friends, that might create that anxiety, that avoiding anxiety attachment style as far as in relationship and how I relate to others. It triggers that. So now that helps me to know that, hey, I've got to go back in my file, go deal with that, find tools and resources to help me to deal with that and to heal that. Okay, so that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the connection, what we actually have to do with that one. Okay, let me look and see about in the real world, how do they want us to deal with that? I got soul's journey. Let me stop. Let me use this one. So what's the soul's journey? Because the divine feminine, divine masculine energies is with that. I'm going to pull one card for one of this, or whatever it tells me to. Okay. And Spirit says in order for that, we get an advice for that one, is to really deal with the freedom. Okay? I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. Interesting. I just pulled the card from the box, shuffled it, and this is what they're saying. So that means freedom in your finding your joy. Freedom in understanding what was the turning point. Because we're not, again, in the memory. We're not still tied to it. That's why I was telling myself, too, when I was telling you about the experience with my mother. I said, okay, now, you know, you got to get like Ayanla. Tell the story, beloved, but let's not relive it and become it again. Because I remember they saying about the brain, if you keep on, when you repeat some things, the brain does not know the difference between, oh, is it happening now, or are we actually talking about something that happened in the past, okay? So we've got to find that freedom. Interesting, I'm looking here, these downloads, getting more in tune with your intuition and your awareness, helps you to really know and discern what is really truly freedom from you and when you are really in that place. Okay, and if you had the memory to share what they're saying about that memory, about that past that I just talked about, that relationship that is defining you, one thing it was saying that you got to set yourself free from that too as well. Okay, all right there. And the next card that came out was grief. So again, with this one, say I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. So and it's got this the sacral energy there, which again is about our manifestation, but again it's about how we're connecting to people as well. healthy relationships. So when we're talking about that shared memory space, we have to remember again about the past. We got to grieve for what coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and the ifs for that. We also understand that those things that happened in the past, they were turning points. They were catalysts. They helped push us to be better. So we got to grieve about what direction that we thought we were going to go and what direction that we ended up actually going into. And then it says, what do we think is the source of our joy? Again, whatever we agreed about, and we thought that X, Y, Z, and we thought that Tommy was a source of our joy, and then he quit and he ghosted us. We have to understand to release and let that go. Maybe that job we thought was a source of our joy really wasn't. We got there. I think about the lady that was on my show that I listened in the morning, and she said she had really wanted this job. She couldn't wait to get to the job. That was like her dream job. And once she got the job, she like, this ain't it. Something ain't right about this job. And so it caused her to actually say, you know what, I've got to grieve this. I got to let it go. I can't keep on with this because I'm not happy at this so-called job that I thought was my dream job. So, interesting enough, she found herself having to bite the bullet and going ahead and let it go. So that's another way in which sometimes we have to find ourselves grieving for what we thought was, and just let yourself know, hey, it's okay to be okay that you weren't okay when you're going through the process, So next thing, now let's talk about the connection. How can we heal the connection when we're talking about as far as in with our person, whether it is divine, they're in their divine feminine, divine masculine energies, whichever way they're showing up as a male or female or whatever. Let's take a look. I'll do this one. Let's take a look at the connection. What do we need to heal as far as us as this human relationship with our person? Okay. Now, how can we rethink how we're connecting? Okay, so here we have when we're talking about being with our person, what do you think I want to hear right now? So if you're thinking about your person, what do you think I want to hear right now? I'll give you a moment to think about that. And really, truly resign in your heart to see about what is it saying. Does he want to hear you say, I love you, I forgive you, it's all right, we can make it? Doesn't matter about the choices that you made, the past is the past. Most likely, whatever that you think that your person needs to say is exactly what you need to hear at this moment. All right, let's look at the next one. What do you think is blocking me from being the best version of myself? So as we look at this question here, and we see again that goes to, as you're thinking about what things are blocking them from being their best version of themselves, think about what might be blocking you from being your best version of yourself. Is it doubt, disbelief, thinking that the circumstances is much greater than you, that you can't get out of the situation with the karmic or the addiction or whatever thing that you think that's got a hold on them? Maybe you say, hey, I don't drink. That's them to do that stuff. Well, it's something that you have an addiction to. It might not be drugs, sex, and rock and roll, but it might be something that you really go to. Is it negative thinking? Is it negative self-talk? Is it negative anything? Those things are addictive. Is it drama? I love drama. I love reading about it. I love creating it. I like being in the midst of it. Mary J. Blige said, no more drama. Said, that wasn't the song for me. So, what is it that, again, we always think it's the material things. And that's kind of what the divine masculine energies, if it is showing up in your person, if they believe that they are more dominant in that and showing, and they got, because they're dominant in it, because they got to work on that more to heal that, so they could go back and reset and be divine feminine, divine masculine energies. Most of the time, that's what they do, and they handle the material things while you're handling the internal things. Next thing what we're talking about, again, in the connection with your person, as in a relationship, 3D or 5D, what do you think is holding you back, and how can I support you more? So again, your person is asking you this, pretend that they're in front of you, and you're answering that to them. The next thing here, when we talk about, and that's going to start helping you for healing. The next one is, what do you think is the hardest thing being your partner? Wow. Yeah. What do I think is the hardest thing being your partner? So that gets you to thinking. I'm even thinking about that. I'm going to have to replay this even for myself. What do I think is the hardest thing about being a partner? Well, I got some circumstances here that maybe, again, the non-belief could be a boundary about that. Some things that I'm dealing with is negative thinking. That could be a boundary or a block that's stopping us from being together. And the circumstances that you as a person are in the 3D is making it hard to be a partner too. So, it could be a lot of things you could think of. Just give me some suggestions. I'll just be honest and transparent on my end. What is the hardest thing for you right now that I don't realize? Ooh, this is a good one. So pretend that these cards here, I should have said at the beginning, is like your partner is actually asking you, and you in turn are asking yourself this. What is the hardest thing for you right now that I don't realize? I think maybe sometimes you don't realize that I am trying, and how hard it is to continue to do this process in spite of. I think I make it seem very easy, and I pretend like the blinders are on, but I still know that it exists. And I don't think that you know how hard the struggle is that I have to go through to do that. And that's what I would really pretty much say. I don't think maybe, and if I'm saying that to him, he's probably saying the same thing to me. He's saying I'm doing the same thing over here. Despite what I'm in, it's hard for me to kind of keep on. I'm still trying and pushing, although it don't look like I'm doing it on my end. But I am, underneath the circumstances. Okay, so I'm having therapy and talking to him telepathically at the same time. Okay, so now that's what's going on with that. So now let's take a look-see at some other cards that's going to help us to understand as far as what is the shadow work that we need to do with deal with this, what is the overall energy that's affecting this, and and then we're going to ask what is the magic that we need to create, which means some things that we've got to do in tangible or in tandem, they said, in the 3D to make this push. So now the overall energies, as far as what we're talking about, the connection between the female and the male is the overall energies. Woo, Lord have mercy. All on the floor too. Can you pick that up for mommy? No. Okay, they all fell, and I gotta try to make sure. Stay right there, Pocket, that I don't hit this camera because the way I got it set up. Wow. Woo. This is a lot. So the overall energies that we're dealing with as the connection is the deceit. Okay? So something is not going on on the surface as we would think there is. There's some illusions. And this belief in the illusions is what's playing a part as far as it seems like even in these cards about how we really are feeling about each other, how we are really supporting one another, how we are becoming the best version of ourselves, and what we think we are hearing from our person. There's deceit there. We got to really rely on our intuition and our awareness to be able to create that change there. We got to get more grounded and rooted here because this is red all in this. Many times when we probably look at our divine counterparts, whether they're male or female, this is what we're seeing. Like, yeah, I love you, but I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Okay? This is what we got to deal with in order to heal. That's the overall energies. About this community. 7, spiritual completion. About these 3, this is almost representing the 3 of Cups card, which is, again, there's an energy swarming of, there's you, your person, and this extra energy. Rather, it's a person, place, a thing. These things are playing a part. Also, understanding that part of creating a unity in that. Also, in how it's dealing and affecting your foundation of the relationship, you've got to think about the 3 things that's got to happen within you, which to me, again, is the beauty part of it, the creating the music, finishing up the symphony, to me about the appreciation and sitting and just learning how to be, but then also understanding the, what I'm saying, it was the passion as well that needs to be brought to it, but the happiness, how are you entertaining yourself in the meanwhile. Those are the 3 things that come to mind when I look at this card here too as well. The beauty, the passion, how you entertain yourself too in the meanwhile while you're creating this spiritual completion here. All of these things are a sense of communities, these 3 of Cups. What's filling up your cup in the meantime? Okay, and when you're talking about that, and what's going to create that third dynamic too between you and your person, because that third dynamic is the glue that's holding you and the person together. It could be deceit is what's holding you two together, the non-belief, the conflict. You know, you want to change that energy that's that connector between you and the other and your person. Also, here the overall energies they want you to deal with is understanding the door to personal healing and happiness. Understanding that right now, when you ask those questions right now about the connection with being with your person, you are opening this up inside yourself so you can start the healing process so you can have that peace and that union to happen. Okay? Understanding that also when we're having this introspective healing right now for the connection with you and your person, there's the magician and the mirror. We got to look at ourselves to find within what's the magic that we can create in order to make things manifest. He's old, which means you got to have some wisdom. You can't do this from no young brain or kind of immature mindset in order for these things to happen to start, okay? Notice here, he's got this infinity sign. To me, the infinity sign is saying to have that continuous flow of non-interruption or turbulence of the flow between the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies. We got the 53 here, which represents change and also an alignment. Spirit, soul, they go that 3 again with that community. Bring it all together. Whether it is, again, I know some of you all don't like it, but again, that harmony with the karmic, again, about their role, how you viewing that instead of looking at them being at the other end of it, or the enemy of my enemy is my enemy kind of state of mind, seeing about what they brought to the table, how they help to make your person grow, how they step up to the plate to take care of your person, whatever it is, because soul contract 50, we know in the 3D how they come and showing up. Some of them might be interesting as well, but at the same time in the 50, they have signed up, and that's the way they wanted to express themselves or help your person get their lesson by being an itch. Okay, so if that's the way they're showing up, or being a tyrant, or really a hard lesson, that most of the time when you have those hard lessons, you get it and you move on, and you don't want to do them to repeat them over again. So that's what's going to happen to help you to create the magic. You got to start looking within, seeing how the magic is, seeing again, it's not my person, it's also me that's in there. Also, here they're saying here is they got storm warnings. Pay attention to these things that are coming along in your life to knock down these philosophies, even answer these questions that I've asked you to. Made me even stop and think like, oh my God, you know what? I didn't even think of it like that. You know, like the way I'm thinking, it might be the way he's thinking, you know, or yeah, right. What do I think you need to hear? So we have to look and see as far as those things where you have those moments where you really sit introspectively, they are meant to help you to knock down the foundation here. Or even these triggers or these big moments, these tower moments that come along, help you to create that tower moment or knocking down your foundation. So again, whenever time I see lightning or thunder or anything like that, that represents that spirit guided for this. To get the winds going there, the tornado, to whip it up so it can change the locations of those things that no longer suit you. They might be old. You might say, well, that's my home. But, you know, in order for it to come along, it's the universe's way to saying we don't like what the experience of going through the bad weather, but at the same time, it's also to clear and to make new. Okay? And then also for us to really truly get into our divine feminine energies by the goddess of the moon, understanding how the influences of the world and the planetary things are shifting and changing our emotions, especially with these moons, the cycles that are occurring and happening to help us become more informed with our divine feminine or in line with our divine feminine energies, which is going to make us be able to receive the downloads, help us to receive the messages they're saying from our guides and our ancestors that are needed, help us to get more in line with the intuition and awareness and less with the illusion, because this, when you get into the state of this deceitfulness that's going on here, that creates more separation. Hello, just when I thought it was over, I found a card on the floor and I was like, oh no, this needs to be addressed. This has also about the deceit. That deceit also leads into that indecisionness, which is that believing in the illusion, which makes us have that fork in the road feeling like I don't rather know to go left or to go right. The unknown and the unknown. Right now is number 8, which is to give rebirth, to also have that balance between even flow. When you have that deceit feeling or not knowing or believing there's something else going on that's not being said and you're trying to fill in the blanks, Spirit has told me, and I'll give that on to you, is that a lot of times when it's unknown and there's nothing to really truly be defined there, you're supposed to allow that to leave open so Spirit can create the magic. This is what needs to be the overall energies here, is this indecisiveness. We have here, she's in red. We need to become more grounded and rooted in this is what we're going to do. We're going to, I was watching the other day, it's Queen Sugar, and her son, one of the main character's son, is in friendship with a guy who is pretty much, we know he's gay. However, he said something about the friendship that he has with him, he has true intimacy with. He's not gay himself. He's like, it makes him question himself to know, am I fluid? Do I want to be gay? Or am I bi? I mean, what's really actually going on with me? And his aunt, Nova, had given him a good advice, and she said, just let it be. Just go with the flow. We don't need to put a question mark. We don't need to put an answer to it. We don't need to put a period there when it should be a comma. We don't have to put anything there. Just let it be. If at this moment you're feeling comfortable with what's being shown here, we don't need to divine it by society or let anybody else come along, because he was feeling bad. He was really okay with the relationship. However, some older men, he took some photography and some pictures, and it was him and his friend kind of, really having their head side by side, and there's a very intimate embrace that they had there. And the man was like, what the hell going on here? What this symbolize here in this picture? And so, and so him and the other guy was very naive to it. It's like, it's just brotherly love. And so like, you're like, I don't know about that, And so his other friends, his family members kind of rallied to the boy's age is like, man, what you trying to make it out to be? It ain't really all that. It's just that you and I show love and whatever. Like, he's like, yeah, but not like that. So it made him question it. So then it made him in turn question the relationship. And it kind of made the relationship turn into another direction when it was really beautiful. It's almost like the Garden of Eden. Once somebody comes along and give you knowledge on something, and you started to really, that's what Adam and Eve, and it's like, we're naked, and God was like, who told you were naked? Ain't nobody told you you was naked. You find you who you are. So now you then start thinking about, now you start questioning about everything, about who I am, what's your purpose of being there, everything. So you got to watch it when you have that, you being introduced to what's so-called knowledge about the introspection of really actually knowing what's actually going on. And you have those serpentine moments where it's like, yeah, do it, find out. It changes your perspective because you believe that there is deception that's going on, but you're like, but it's really feeling fine right now, but I'm just scared about what other people might think if they find out what their perception of what it is. And when you start coloring it with everybody else's crayon and their strokes and their experiences and their belief system, it's messing you up to know truly what's the value of knowing who yourself is. So I'll go by the Aunt Nova, which is saying, just right now, just let it be. If it's feeling good to you, it's not killing anybody, it's not harming anybody at this point. And at the point of, and I have to say this, it might even harm in some ways, but you cannot deny yourself, because that other person is you, and that person you are connected to. And you can't put your feelings to the side by, again, upholding the other person or the person, place, a thing as well, because that's telling and sending a signal to you as a person that you're not valued. Your feelings aren't true. Your feelings are not real with what's going on in this connection that you have with your person. So you've got to watch that, check that indecision or the deceitfulness about what's really going on, and you're lying to yourself. I will even add on to that, the deceitfulness. We always be thinking, well, we lying to them or they lying to me. No, are you lying to yourself too? When you're not acknowledging the connection, that you're not acknowledging how real it is, this feeling that you have. So watch that too as well, because it creates this indecisiveness. Okay? All right, I'm going to let it go on and continue on into the thing, but I had to come back on there, and I think what I said is golden, because when you get into that indecisiveness, notice here with the tree here, there's no growth here. Tree of life. This ain't giving you life, this indecisiveness. Pick a, as they say, pick a struggle. Pick whatever it is. Either way you go, they say unknown, you're going to be struggling anyway. So pick one that at least say it makes me happy, and I'll find out what goes on in there, because at least it's going to give you life. Stay in this state of mind here. Don't give you life. Okay? All right then, because again, you want to make sure you have this balance in this rebirth. All right? Going on, we'll continue on. The deceit of it, like us watching Lee and Sherry, is that we're separate. We're not separate. We are the same. And these cards here help you to understand about the healing. They're saying, you know what, the same things that you're asking me as I'm pretending as if my person is asking me, is the same identified questions I have to ask him. So there's really no, in that, looking at ways to heal, there is no separatism in that. Okay? So now let's look at the next thing, which is the shadow work. What is the shadow work that we have to work on? The shadow work. Colorless angel, and that's the number 10. So for me, when I look at the colorless angel, that represents that we are believing that we are powerless, but we are actually powerful, but I feel like we are powerless, that we don't have any power in the situation. Our hands are tied when it comes to our person and how they show up. They're the one who has the key. They're the ones that have the power. They're the ones that direct where our relationship goes and where the energy flows. And that is not true. That's the shadow work that we have to deal with. with the divine feminine, divine masculine energies, the shadow work, we got to look within so we can be able to understand the world that's going on without, seeing about what's going on in our soul, what truly makes us happy, looking to see as far as what is it as far as in our childhood wounding or some patterns or some experiences that we had even growing up as an adult or a child or a teenager that is helping to create that underscore or that subscript that keeps on saying that we are less than, we are not enough. So those are the things in which we have to really actually start going back and looking at to see about what we need to change, because there's a dark horse there. There's a freedom that we want in there, but the dark horse represents to me is not going. You're not going to get it in the way that you think that you're supposed to. It's not going to be the 1, 2, 3 method that you're used to. It might be X, Y, and Z. However, with this understanding that this is some things that we got to really truly look and see, where do we have our sights on? What are we actually focusing in on? She looks depressed. She looks like there's nothing around her that's giving her life. And that's why you go back to the beginning of the reading, the understanding what is it, joy. You need to count it. I'm hearing her say, count it all joy. Find that one thing if you can't, and you say, I just can't. I had a client that was like that. He's like, I just can't. And he suffers from depression. And I was like, you know what? You got to learn how to take that one thing and hold on to that and let that be the catalyst or the foundation of everything that you do. You know, if you ate that chocolate chip cookie and that chocolate chip cookie gave you life, then you go back to that feeling there. Not eat it over again. That's where we get a lot of people, us get trapped into finding outlets such as things, drinking, sex, or whatever like that, because we don't know how to obtain that happiness within. A lot of us, sometimes we have that hole there. And I remember going to Sophia Charles and saying about that hole. And, you know, until you deal with learning how to fill that up, nobody else is going to be able to fill that up, no matter what you do. Because they could do it for a minute, and then after a while, it'll open back up again. And you'll be like, I'll be damned, I thought I handled that situation. So those are the things that you need to really deal with, that understanding about what truly gives you life. That's why I will almost title this, what really truly gives you life for this as well. Okay, and now in spirit, last thought, how do we create magic? On 40, that's my usual. How do we create the magic? What does spirit overall want us to know? Ooh. So spirit says you could deal with animals. These are like your totem animals. Look to them to help you, give you signals about what things you need to focus in on. You know, if you see a wolf, maybe sometimes it's like, you know, wolf signals like, hey, you might need to kind of look at the way you're leading right now. You might be a lone wolf right now. Spirit might be saying, no, I told you I wanted to have you to have that sense of community. I don't want you, or you're too much in the world, and maybe you need to kind of go off to yourself and be alone so you can be able to really truly get in tune with yourself. You'll know, but these animals are going to signal to you what needs to be healed at that moment. So pay attention to your totem animals. That's what Spirit wants you to do. Understanding that right now, Spirit wants you to understand we have new beginnings that are happening. The sun, I had the song gave me a Spirit gave me a song in my heart that was talking about sunlight and things. There's a new day of dawning, people. You had the 11/11 portal that happened on yesterday, and this is really helping you understand that once you start the process of healing, it starts new beginnings, okay? Just make sure that you got that intuition, your awareness together, so it can be able to transform you into something different, okay? But new beginnings are on the horizon. That's what they said they want me to let you know. Practice that forgiveness. Here, that's a good way of even starting the healing process, and so that you don't start the forgiveness for yourself, start the forgiveness for your person, start the forgiveness for everybody around you. That's what that 3 of Cups card is, that other energy that's in you all's resonating in your connection that you don't know about. Even to start forgiving about the karmic as well, okay? that needs to be looked at too. They even tell me, they say, and tell them they need to look at, I'm sorry, I'm doing something here. You need to also look at how you're forgiving too. Because the forgiveness requires you to walk away. It also requires you to submerge yourself into your emotions more as well. So that, it can create these pouring of, to me, spirit into your spirit. And then as well, so as I'm seeing birds here, help you to ascend and go to the next level. Okay? Especially this is a female here. So that means in your divine feminine energies, this is where it needs to, the forgiveness is helping that energies to be able to be in this laminar flow, which means it's parallel. It's really where you need to be, where it's continuous and it's not disrupted. And then also, they want you to know that prosperity is your birthright. This is something that is innate, is in your divine feminine energies as well. They're saying in the male and the female, but understanding that a lot of this prosperity and coming together is going to cause an easy flow. Once you start healing these things, prosperity will flow easily. But you got to start the healing process. And we know a lot of times they try to say that once you get with your person as well, you become more abundant. That's true because, again, once you are two together coming as healing, as healed individuals, coming to help even heal some more because you're not totally 100% healed. Even in the relationship, when you come together, there's still some things that you and the person have to work with. But they want you to know that prosperity comes in so many things. Prosper means to things to abundance, but it means to grow and to expand, to become more of. So this is what they want you to know. Yeah, when you come together, like they say that's not really, they don't want to really too much harp on it because they don't want anybody to be thinking, well, when I give my person, then I'll become abundance. Not so. But it does happen that when you come together with your person, it does multiply, it does intensify, it does magnify, and become more. All right, so I hope that you enjoy this thing, a new one that's just talking about healing. As far as intuitively, I had gotten the cards and I was like, you know what, I'm going to use this. When I seen the cards, I was like, I got to use this because we need to focus on the healing as well. But I think it helps us to really pinpoint and to really, in a soul, like my new focus is a soul psychotherapy, which is really helping you to look at the soul and really the mind, putting it together, the heart and mind connection, and bring the heart and mind intelligence together to be able to resonate and come together as one, helps to start the healing process, but also helps you to bring union within yourself. So I hope that you enjoy this new way of doing, hey cutie pie, this new way of me doing this. It still helps you to understand about your energy, helps you understand about the connection, but this is more so of not lending more fear into the readings, but more so staying about, let me really stop and really truly think about how I'm looking at the connection. All right, if you're interested in getting a reading like this for yourself, because remember this is a general. However, I think I do my best to really kind of tailor-made from each one, because if you do find me, that means this reading is for you. So thank you for finding me. Make sure you click like, share, and subscribe to this channel as well. And also, if you're interested in getting your own personalized reading, go to DivineUnstones11.co. This stuff is found in the description box below. And if you're interested in finding the patterns for past lives, and you say, I've done this stuff, but I'm still not getting a breakthrough, if you want to do a quantum healing session, looking at various areas in your life to help break through for that and create healing process too with me, go to AshantiWellnessCenter.com as well. Don't forget to hit us up on today with the Playground Experience, which is on the Playground Experience channel with myself, April Williams, Kathy D, and myself. We might have a special guest if I could get them on there as well. And so we want to make sure that we are answering your questions giving you a different perspective about the journey and about the energies that are going on. We pick up various topics and we talk about the various things. So make sure that it starts at 7:40 Central Time. Go over there. Most of the time, if you go to my community tab, I am up giving you heads up to that we are live, and for you to be able to go there and just click on it, and it'll give you directly to the channel and also to the video, to the live. Okay, all right then, I think that is it. Look on the outlook for a program that I am working with, almost at the finishing touches with it, and I will be talking about it and some specials that's going on with that, because again, I'm being led through my soul psychotherapy sessions and my work to be able to work with you all and getting that together. All right then, as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and namago. Until next time, work on this information, look at it again, take your journals out, and really take an introspective look. Because only the way about looking at yourself introspectively is where you're going to get the true divine answers about yourself, your person, and your connection to the world. All right, until next time, love you. Be talking to you real soon.